just want to talk. That's it.
No joy.
Wait, my controls aren't working. Reconnect patch.
Disregard. Take the shot.
What? No, the drone isn't armed.
Take the shot.
What did you do?
There's a breach, sir.
Is this yours?
The missile was just a precaution. You can hardly blame us, Wanda.
Oh, I think I can. This will be your only warning. Stay out of my home. You don't bother me.
Aloha! This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here and the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best TV show reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man. And I want to talk to you about Season 1, Episode 4 and 5 of WANDAVISION. Now, you know, some of you have already seen certain reviews for Episode 4, and then, of course, this last weekend, Friday, or Thursday night, I guess, if you're lucky enough, WandaVision Episode 5 of Season 1 finally dropped, and which completely changes the game. I mean, the shit really hits the fan in Episode 5. Well, and remember our rating scale, shock a thumbs up. It's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's bad to see, it's junk. I don't recommend it. And still, for WandaVision, as I said in my Episode 1 and 2 version, it is a shock a thumbs up all the way, and remains a shock a thumbs up. Episode 4, basically we get our first peeling back of the Band-Aid into what is happening in the town of Westview. And essentially, Monica Rambeau's character, who was pushed out of Westview after being sucked in, and we see, basically, this is from the perspective of Monica Rambeau, of Randall Park's character, even Kat Dennings' character. We see her introduced along with the rest of SWORD, who's brought in, along with the FBI on this quite literally a homeland security issue where an entire town, the town of Westview, has gone missing or is actually under the protection or the being held hostage by, we find out in Episode 5, Wanda herself, the Scarlet Witch. And essentially, like I say, Episode 5 really changes the game, but that begins in Episode 4, where we get to see Monica Rambeau grow up. We see her come back from the dusting after Endgame, finding out that her mother had died 2 years before her while she was still, dusted. And we see a little bit more from what we had just seen briefly in Spider-Man Homecoming, how people who survived Endgame and came back after the dusting in Infinity War, their perspectives on the world, not only just the problems of reintegration with their family members, their loved ones 5 years older than they are, but some, unfortunately, having passed away while they were blipped out of existence by Thanos, which is really something hard to take. So not only do they have to readjust to their lives, they really can't, because they never had the opportunity to say goodbye to their loved ones, very much like their loved ones did when they were blipped out. But we see that S.W.O.R.D. had been set up very much like Agent Peggy Carter set up S.H.I.E.L.D. by Monica Rambeau's mother, friend to Captain Marvel. And basically, she was in control of it, and her daughter had become an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. An agent of S.W.O.R.D. To essentially look at specialized weapon threats, and now these could be of the superhero kind, supervillain kind, or you name it, other desperate entities, very much like a Homeland Security, very much like S.H.I.E.L.D. had done at one time. But an emphasis especially on space and space weaponry. We're introduced to the new director, or at least acting director of S.W.O.R.D., who seems to be, other than friends with Monica and her mother previously, seems to be kind of a hard ass, as we especially see in episode 5. Essentially, where 3 had left off, this takes right up after in episode 4. Monica getting thrown out through several walls by Wanda out of Westview. She survives thanks to Wanda's protection, we find out, kindness, without injury. In episode 5, we see that some additional medical scans, are unable to be done on her, hinting that she has been given her powers of light, very much like the comic book. So this could be the creation of the new Captain Marvel, the Monica Rambeau Captain Marvel, who will later join the Avengers. But we will have to see. But that's definitely what it looks like, as, CT scans of her are fuzzy. They cannot get a grip on her insides, as they may have turned all to light, very much where she can become light, insubstantial, fire lasers, etc., move at the speed of light almost. Yes, that will be interesting to see. So basically, after 4 sets up the past history and how we got to Westview, and introduces the FBI with Randall Park from Ant-Man, moves additionally into the 80s on the comedy-wise, still maintaining that illusion within Westview for Wanda. But we find that Vision himself is having doubts. He is able to remember that things don't quite add up properly here, and at a touch he can bring people out of the trance that Wanda has them in, and we find that it's very frightening for these people being mind controlled by Wanda in order to stay and live in this illusionary world that she's created. And at the end of episode 3, at the beginning of episode 4, we find from Monica Rambeau that, she is laying on the ground after getting thrown out by Wanda, that she says it's Wanda, it's all Wanda, saying that she is the one controlling it. She set this all in motion. And there's still a little bit of a question on that we find in episode 5. Essentially, Wanda in episode 5 comes out of the town after a predator drone had been sent in to talk to Wanda. Monica Rambeau attempts to talk to her through the speaker in the predator drone. Unbeknownst to her, there was a Hellfire, mostly likely a Hellfire missile in that predator drone that was fired upon Wanda by the Sword director. It fails, of course. Wanda is far too powerful to be taken by that unless it's a complete surprise. She basically throws the drone back at them in person on the outskirts of town, telling them to leave and leave them and her world alone. Monica attempts to reason with her, and it is there that we find out that Wanda is not sure how exactly she had gotten here. Earlier in episode 5, we saw clips, video footage from security cameras that she had busted into Sword facilities to steal Vision's dead body. Since it was the Mind Stone was torn away from Vision in Endgame. That would mean that they were killed. That he was killed, turned all gray, his color all gone. And that is where we had left him in Endgame. We find out that he was probably being studied by Sword for technology uses, perhaps duplication in the future by the people of Sword. I would have assumed that he had stayed or remained in Wakanda, but apparently that is not the case. So somehow Wanda, with her powers, it's easy enough for her to break into the Sword facility and steal Vision's inactive body. Since he's an android, he was neither alive or completely dead. And somehow she has reanimated him. Because her powers come from the Mind Stone, it could be that she has, if not created a new minor Mind Stone for Vision, then at least her inert power is enough to reanimate him almost fully to what he was before. Although he will admit he does not have his memories before, being awakened by Wanda in Westview and living this strange life of the 50s, the 60s, 70s, and now in episode 5, the 80s, with 2 children who have grown up suddenly to 10 years old. What else can I say about that? Is that I wanted to say that Wanda still may not be fully in control of the situation. Yes, her powers are growing. She's experimenting with her powers to create this reality. But in that moment where she says, I don't know how I ended up in Westview, it could be that someone really had Mephisto, Nightmare, had been playing on this grief in her mind with the loss of Vision to take her over, mind control her enough to set these events in motion, steal Vision, and take over this town. Thus, with everything that she had wanted, Vision back, a family, etc., who is she to question and want to leave the perfect reality for her? She, as she has said, she is quite happy here. So why should she look into how did I really get here? Who cares? I'm happy. Even though she refuses to admit to herself that she is causing other people grief. Vision knows people are in pain, being mind controlled, missing their families, etc. Attempts to reason with Wanda. They break into a fight, but before things get too heated, Wanda's brother, Pietro, Quicksilver, returns from the dead, at least as Kat Dennings' character, as she's watching the broadcast, tells her or shows us that he has been recast by the X-Men, by the Fox's X-Men's actor, that Quicksilver from that reality, thus starting to create the idea of the multiverse, or at least truly bringing it into focus. The idea of the multiverse. If she can pull the X-Men, or at least this member of the X-Men, in from that reality, from the Fox's X-Men's reality, what would stop her from being able to bring in everyone, all the other X-Men, or other things from other realities, or maybe even Vision from another reality, and thus not have to continue to animate his corpse? These are some serious questions, but this is all what episode 5 has revealed to us. And we finally see that, very much like Wanda from the early moments of Ultron, the Age of Ultron, she has that edge to her, and she's not messing around. She turns the guns on the director of S.W.O.R.D., and basically threatens everyone to stay out or else. And she shows her significant power and how much they have grown. Although Kat Demming and Randall Park's character, and even Monica Rambeau, is not ready to put her on, the evil list yet. Still hoping they can reach her, still wanting to see how she, got to this point, and try to reason with her. And in a few more episodes, I think we will see an inkling of who may be behind this. Another factor from this episode 5, is that we see a little bit of Agnes, a little bit more of Agnes, and that she seems to be aware of the situation, showing that she is more powerful than anyone has let on, or that she has let on, that she is aware that Wanda is controlling this. She flubs her lines in one scene, and she asks Wanda, should I just redo it? Should we start from the top? And Wanda doesn't have to rewind it. Wanda doesn't have to erase Agnes's memory, because Agnes is aware of it and simply wants to continue to play along to keep Wanda appeased. And she knows that she must keep Wanda appeased. So whatever theories there were that Agnes is the cause of this, or is behind this, controlling Wanda, definitely are dispelled by episode 5. This is an additional thing that Vision seizes upon to confront Wanda about how she is controlling people, and has even erased his memory at times. But it seems that he is able to break free, very much like Agnes did, of this, mind control. So right there, we should see that Agnes has some power. S.W.O.R.D. has not identified her, so she's not an agent of S.W.O.R.D. I doubt she's an agent of Hydra. So I still feel that she is the witch, the nanny from the Fantastic Four, Agnes Harkness. I think that's coming more and more into fruition. And as Wanda's powers continue to grow, and as she continues to openly confront people who attempt to break free, or break her free, or break the others free from her control, her town, her reality, where she wants her and Vision and her family to stay, that will only push her more and more into the deep end and cause her power to grow out of anger and sorrow, which will probably be, again, seeing the death of Vision at one point here, as they almost come to blows in episode 5. I think at some point, somehow, Vision will confront Wanda and they will really go at it. And Wanda will be forced out of anger this time to destroy Vision just to stop him. And then her whole world she's created in Westview will unravel and thus start off the Doctor Strange, the multiverse of madness, as we've already seen certain things here fracture. We find out through Sword, through Monica Rambeau's, that Wanda's powers have grown so much that she can actually create, well, if not create, then reshape matter. The costumes that everyone wears for the period pieces from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, that's their original clothing that Wanda actually reshapes. That it's not illusions, as some of the people had thought before, that somehow she can manifest this in real time, in reality. These items have substance to them, thus only showing how much more her power has grown. I don't know what more I can say. I'm really looking forward to episode 6. With episode 6, there's only 3 episodes left. Like I said, stuff really goes down in episode 5, picking right up from where we left off in episode 4. And I think it's only going to keep going like this for the rest of the 3 episodes. It must. And I'm sure they will all be about an hour, just to try to resolve things enough to get to that point of the Doctor Strange beginnings of the Multiverse of Madness movie, which is surely where this is heading. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, giving his thoughts on episodes 4 and 5, especially 5, of WandaVision. Check it out on Disney+. Strong shock and thumbs up still for all the shows up to now, and I doubt that's going to change for the other 3 episodes. All right, thank you so much. Mahalo and aloha.